Okay guys, so the first thing our instructions say to do is to obtain a level teaspoon of copper 2 chloride in your beaker from the middle of my table. Describe the crystals in as much detail as you can and make as many observations as possible. So here's my copper 2 chloride solution. I'm going to get as close as I can so you can really check it out. So you might want to go ahead and write your observations now. You need at least 3. And I'm going to kind of stir it so you can see how it kind of moves. Okay, it's chunky and thick. Okay, so I'm going to get, my rule is 2 scoops is about a teaspoon, so I'm going to get 2 scoops of this into my beaker. Being very careful because remembering that this is a skin irritant. Okay, and then I'm going to record my observations in my data table. So let's go back to our lab station. In my data table, I've got a place for recording the observations of the dry crystals. So pause right here and write down 3 things about the crystals that you just saw. My next step says to carefully add tap water from the sink to the 50 milliliter mark. Do not stir. Observe both the crystals and the water and record your observations of the mixture. Now when I'm using my sinks, I always start it and kind of adjust the flow of the tap before I actually try to pour into my beaker, because these are some weird sinks and they don't always work very well. So I'm going to try to do this while filming and not mess it up. Okay, so I'm going to fill it. Right about there is perfect. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to slide this over real close for you so that you can get a good look. Okay, you'll notice that the copper 2 chloride solution at the bottom was sort of a bluish color, and now it's more of a greenish color. And my water has kind of, if you look at the paper behind it so you can see it a little better, the water has kind of a bluish tint to it now. So go ahead and record your observations. You need 3 observations in your data table of the crystals with water before stirring. So pause the video and do your 1, 2, 3 observations here. The next step says to stir the mixture with the glass stirring rod until the crystals are completely dissolved. Record your observations of the solution and also the temperature of the solution. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and let you watch while I take my stirring rod, and I'm going to gently stir this. And it takes just a minute to really get it stirred. We got a nice blue solution going there. And then I'm going to measure my temperature. I'm going to stick my thermometer in and I'm going to give it just a minute to really get to the right temperature. And then we're going to read it. Okay, so go ahead and get a good read on that thermometer. I know it's kind of blurry. Let me move my hand. Okay, get a good read on the thermometer, write down the temperature, and then also pause the video and get your 3 observations of our solution plus the temperature. So you need 3 observations of the stirred solution with water and crystals, 3 observations plus the temp. Okay. Our last step says to loosely crumple the aluminum foil into a loose ball. Place the ball into the solution and record your observations of the mixture. Monitor the temperature and record the highest temperature reached by the mixture. Caution, observe the mixture from the side. Do not look directly down into the beaker. Continue to observe the mixture until the reaction has stopped. All right, so I'm going to take my aluminum foil, and when I say loosely crumple, I mean a little ball but not a tight ball, because we want the solution to be able to get in there. So I've got it crumpled. I'm going to add it, and I'm going to watch my thermometer as well as the solution. Okay. Now as this progresses, if you look really carefully, you can kind of see it's turning brown. You can hear it bubbling. You can see it bubbling. If you look really closely, there you go. So we see bubbles forming. There's a nice color change going here. My temperature is up to about 33 and it's continuing to rise. I can feel the warmth and heat coming off. You can see the beaker is getting some condensation collecting on the side. And then also notice what's happening to my solution here. It's not that same bright blue any longer. Ooh, and it's falling apart. My aluminum foil no longer sticks together. It's kind of chunky and I've got chunks at the bottom. Looks like my temperature is up to almost 40 degrees Celsius. Looks like we're like 39.8 degrees. Oh, there we hit 40. All right, so go ahead and in your data table, we have our solution plus the foil. We got the initial temperature up here. So now you need to record your final temperature, which was 40 degrees Celsius. And you need 3 observations of what happened in that reaction. If you want to put more than 3, that's great. Okay. So then it says, when the reaction is complete, pour off the liquid portion of the mixture into the sink. Discard the solid contents in a waste beaker in the fume hood. Wash and dry the equipment you used, and then wash your hands before leaving the lab. So to do that, I'm going to pull out my thermometer, and I'm going to attach my stirring rod across the pour spout. This is going to help me keep any solids from coming out as I pour. And I'm going to carefully pour my liquid solution down the straw and into the sink. And again, I don't want this to touch you. Now you'll notice the stirring rod does a great job of helping it really go down in a nice straight line. Okay? So now I've got all my liquid poured off. And if you want to observe this solid we made, it's this brown chunky stuff. And I'm going to take it back here to the fume hood. And I'm going to scrape it into our waste container. Okay, and I'm going to have to set this down because it's going to require 2 hands. Okay. So now I am done with the experiment. I'm going to go clean up my glassware. And then I'm going to be working on the post-analysis questions, which is what I want you to do as soon as you're done. All right?